got beer on my just a little bit of it everywhere. That's not bad. No, it is almost 10 o'clock where we are. We are starting this on a Monday too. So we're starting this particularly late. We did get a little sidetracked talking about a lot of subjects that don't really belong on the podcast. And that's fine. We started with Mount Everest, and then we really went off the rails. I don't know how we ended up where we ended up, but we started with Mount Everest. We started with like a legitimately good topic. You know,
I think, Mount Everest was good, but I do think that we could bring on an expert to talk about the other subject. It is kind of becoming more mainstream. Is birth rates. It's kind of, I guess, basically what we were talking about. And we were talking about it in a much, much less educated fashion. But,
well, they're down, right? There's all this stuff coming out about it's like young men. They're not having sex. They're not getting married. They're not having kids.
Testosterone levels are lower. All kinds of shit.
Yeah. Testosterone levels are lower. Something you hear talked about quite a bit in like conservative circles.
We're also like further removed from like fighting tigers and shit like that. Does it make sense that the levels are lower? We don't have to, less people are working in the fields, I guess overall. But I mean, it is a part of the demise of our history, Maybe, I don't know. Like, you don't even need, like, you could start a world war. You could do something like that, but that'll give you a temporary boost. But overall, like, just as a species, I mean, whether it's the food we eat, the microplastics crossing our brain barrier, that are fucking us up. But, like, we are just kind of, I feel like, health-wise, did we hit a peak? Are we kind of like, are there little peaks and little valleys? Like, we're going to be like, okay, well, we've fucking gone too far in our health. Like, did we peak a couple decades ago in our fucking how long we live, or are we still on the way up? Medical shit's getting better, but once I feel like we get into like we don't need to get into all this shit right now, I guess. The foods we eat.
I hope for our sakes that we've not hit our peak in terms of like longevity or our health, because I still plan on living quite a few years.
I would like to make it, I don't know what the average is, but I remember hearing like, it was like, when I was younger, I remember people being like, oh, it's like 83, 84 now. If you're a male, 86, or if you're a woman, it's like that's fucking old. That's good, But now I feel like it's way down.
It's lower. I know it's lower because in my head when I was younger, I was always like, I always thought it was 80, and like I had like my great grandparents and my grandparents. Not all of my grandparents, but like my older ones, like they all lived to be, like in their 80s and shit. And I was like, oh, 80's the average, but a lot of people live to be older. And then I read somewhere, I don't know what the average is now, but later on I read that the average was like 78. And I remember thinking like when I was real young, like for the life expectancy to go down, I was like, I know it's only 2 years, but like, why is it going down? You would figure that it should always be going up. And so I thought of it, that's something that I used to think about when I was younger. I was like, why is the rate going down? And what, what does that mean for me? I want to live past 80, hopefully, Hope so.
You hope so. Knock on some fucking wood, but
yeah,
I mean,
not too much past that. Like, I don't want to be like 100 something years old. That's too much.
That's bullshit, though. Why not? Why fucking okay? Actually, did we ask this on the podcast before? This is episode 1 of season 2 of the Bonfire Briefing Pod. Is that right?
I guess it's well, I mean, we can. Yeah. I mean, it's the second. It's like the start of the second year of the podcast. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about this specifically before. Us two, privately have talked about it quite a bit. I know you want to live to be like 200 years old. And I don't really, not 200. I know 200 is an exaggeration, but like, your quality of life just goes down significantly. It goes down like as you get older, but it really fucking takes a drop there once you get like real old. You know?
I mean, would you rather? Well, no, you already see. I don't know. The question was going to be, would you rather live with two hands and live to 75, or would you rather lose one hand when you hit like 58, lose your left hand, and then live to be 140?
I mean, I don't have like a strong desire to live to be 140.
But if you could otherwise function, it's not like you're going to be laying in bed. If you were just like one of those old motherfuckers who you're like, you can't tell if motherfucker looks like 72, and you're like, how old are you? And he's like, oh, I'm 108. You're like, what the fuck are you doing walking around, dude? And
I mean, yeah, if you can still function fine, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, you can still function fine. Yeah, no, you can still function fine. Because I don't know, I've had other people tell me like, oh, well, everybody you know is going to fucking die. It's like, okay, that sucks. But
I mean, that is true.
if you know you're going to be 140, though, then it's just like, knowing you're going to live that long is pretty fucking cool. You're just like
make some young friends.
Yeah, you can constantly be telling people, like, if you know you're going to live that long, that's part of the fucking deal you made with the devil. You know, you're like, this is fucking, you could just do whatever the fuck. Like, if you know you're going to live, you could just fucking walk out in front of traffic. It's like, yeah, you're going to stop, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, see, but like, you know, but that's the thing, though, is like, if you live to be, because I have met someone who is like really, really old, like over 100, and they don't live good lives. You know, they don't. It's like their family doesn't fucking see them. They're all dead. A lot of them are dead, but like the family they do have doesn't see them. You know,
imagine being like a fucking professor at some fucking college. Like, you have enough years to work to that point. You could just be, and then you'd be like, yeah, that's just cool. You just
you'll have to be wheeled in.
Knowledge.
Yeah, you'll have to be wheeled in a fucking wheelchair, wearing a damn diaper.
Let's say you could always fucking walk and shit normally, except you still again lose that left hand at fucking 58. It's part of the deal. You don't need a left hand though. You can get a hook. Hooks are fucking cool.
I was just thinking that. I was like, I would get it replaced with something, and a hook would probably be the move. Like, I mean, you know, assuming you couldn't get a prosthetic, because like,
I think I'd go hook and then prosthetic if I have my choice.
I mean, I would for sure go prosthetic first, but if prosthetics were off the table, why would you not get a hook?
Would you take regular prosthetic or fucking Edward Scissorhands fucking hand?
That would be pretty cool. It would make chopping up vegetables a lot easier.
Dude, you could chop up anything. He chopped up all kinds of shit. People, you know?
Yeah. You know, you make something, you know, you got like a whole bunch of vegetables or fruits laid out in front of you, and you're like, fuck, I got to cut all this. And, you know, and you got to spend some minutes chopping and everything. Like, that sucks. But if you just, you know, you're able to just shred them things real fast.
I guess you just get like a tub and just fucking, it's like some bleach and just shake that shit around.
Yeah, you also got to be careful. Like, you know, you're like nose itches or something. You got to make sure
your balls itch.
Yeah, you got something in your eye. Like, you don't want to end up without an eye, you know, and without a hand. That wouldn't be good. No, yeah, no, you got to be careful. You know, you got to be real conscious about what you're doing with your hands.
Oh yeah, shit.
Although, you know, if your foot was to itch. I had this happen to me the other day while I was driving. It's like the bottom of my foot.
Oh, I hate that shit.
And I was like, I had a drive in front of me, you know, so I couldn't pull over somewhere and fucking scratch. I had to deal with it, you know. If you had one of them, you know, fucking scissor hands, you just reach down there and fucking get that thing real good.
Do you ever kick your shoe off and just go at it? Just rub it on the side of your thing? Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll just slide the shoe over to the side. Just fucking, like, we're going shoeless.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like this part of the drive, you know, I'm doing with one shoe, which is fine. People tell you not to do that for whatever reason, or it's dangerous. I don't know. I've done it.
To have flip-flops, I can see how you can be like, you know, that can fall off your foot and get hung on something for sure.
Yeah.
But I do it anyway. I don't really wear flip-flops or Crocs if I don't know. Don't wear them anymore either.
Yeah, I don't really. No, I've pretty much only wear the shoes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't wear anything that could get caught up like under the pedal or anything. But like if you're just barefoot, I don't really see the problem. Like I can still reach the pedals. So what is the big deal? You know?
Yeah, as long as nothing gets caught underneath that shit, and that's kind of I feel like the thing. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to kick off my shoes. I'm just like, because I think about that sometimes. Like if something falls into the driver's side of the seat there, I am like, shit. I hope that doesn't fucking, like your phone or something. You're like, fuck. I hope that doesn't get stuck.
Oh yeah, right behind your brake, and you're fucked. Yeah, no.
Then you're in like yeah. It's not good. Anything that increases the chance of you crashing your fucking car, probably want to eliminate. Because that's no fun. I've been I drove by a car crash just today. Actually, coming back from the store, there was like I could barely see the crash, but they had like the fire truck there and shit, and there were some cops there. It was right down the road, all the lights and everything. And it's just like, man, I don't know how badly anyone was injured or anything like that, but you take a car crash where nobody's injured and it just fucks up your car a little bit, like that still sucks. That ruins your whole day. Your whole day's out the window. You could have been having the best day ever, and now you fucking got into a fender bender, and it's like, oh fuck, it just sucks.
Yeah, car wreck ruins that shit real quick. Any kind of accident, any bullshit like that, flat tire, any of that shit.
Oh yeah, dead battery.
Oh,
I've had to deal with that. Yeah, I've had to deal with that a little bit recently. That sucks because it's not like it's far from the worst problem you could have with your car. But when you go to start your car and it just doesn't start, and you have a dead battery, it ruins your whole day. You're just like, oh my god, now I gotta fucking, You
hear that motherfucker start clicking. You're like, shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, Especially if you're not, like if you're not, even if you are at home, that still kind of sucks. But like if you're out somewhere, you start your car, battery's dead, it's just like, fuck, man, come on. It's like I just drove this thing here.
Do you keep jumper cables on you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I keep jumper cables, and we've talked about it before. I've got like a portable thing, with like it's got a set of cables attached to it, and keep that thing charged, keep it in the trunk of the car just in case. Used them recently. Used them, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. Worked like a charm. Great thing to have on you. I mean, you should really just keep them on you for you. I mean, if you want to, potentially help other people out in their situation, that's great too. That's another great reason to keep them on you. But, when it's your car battery that's dead, you're going to wish you had some jumper cables. Then you got to walk around. If you're at like a store or something, you got to walk around to everybody. Hey, man,
I'm not battery's dead over there. You. I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to stab you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, no, man, my, car battery died on me. You got any jumper cables? And you got to hear them be like, no, man, I don't have any on me. And they do. Maybe they don't, but a lot of people do, I feel like, and maybe just don't.
Don't want to look.
Just don't want to help out.
No, fuck you.
Especially here in San Antonio, dude. It's hot. People don't want to stand around and fucking, do nothing in this heat. They're trying to get back in their air conditioned car and go home, man. They don't want to stand around and fucking maybe help you jumpstart your car. I don't know. Always keep some on you. It's a good tip. There are just some things in life that you need to have, for moments like that. Like, people say it all the time about, you move into a new place, you should immediately get a plunger. Because you don't need it like as soon as you move in, but you will need it at some point. And if you don't already have you one, you're going to wish you did. You're
just going to wish you did. Oh, yeah.
Trying to think of some other stuff like that. Jumper cables are good to keep on you. Just just throw them in get them and then throw them in the back of your car, and you don't even have to think about them until you need them. I also keep a portable air pump for my tires in there.
No, that's a good thing to have around too. Oh yeah. Fucking, yeah. I used to keep a tank of fucking air back there. But,
oh yeah, because you don't want to you go down to the gas station, try to fucking scramble up some change, for the machine. It's like who even has change? It's really easy to just pop that thing out, air your own tire up right there, and be done with it.
Oh yeah, or fucking yeah. No, having one of them things around, either the automatic ones or the air tank, dude. You're you're that guy. You're fucking. It's like having gum when you're in school. You're like, I can actually. Well, we just said you have a fucking terrible day. You got the flat tire. You get in the fender bender. You can fix one. You can save someone's shitty fucking day, right then. Yeah,
because those are really like a dead battery or a flat tire. Those are like the two most common car problems there are. And if you and those are two things that you can buy for yourself. I don't know how much the portable air pump is. That was gifted to me, but they're not crazy expensive, I would imagine. Same thing with jumper cables. It's just spend you a little money on them, throw them in the back of your car, and be done with it. You will save yourself a lot of headache.
You will need that shit at some point, whether it's it starts to get cold out, your tires go down, you will need them things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You will need it. You absolutely will at some point. And you don't want to be the guy that's caught lacking. Shit. You want to have it. Change of clothes is also good to keep in your car, but for very different reasons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, definitely a different lane than the jumper cables and the air pressure thing. But when you need a change of clothes, you really need a change of clothes.
Shit, no, you do. What else is? Yeah,
if you live somewhere real cold, keeping blankets, jackets, and shit in your car.
Jacket's not bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a thing. That's something people will tell you after you move somewhere cold. They're like, keep some shit in your car just in case you get stuck in the middle of the nowhere and you fucking don't want to freeze to death. Of course, it's not really a problem in San Antonio, but it's a problem in other places. I don't know. I guess if you live somewhere real hot, fucking water's not a bad thing to keep around.
Water's not bad. You used to keep a case of water in the back. You never know. Just carry a bottle in wherever you're going. It's good. I feel like I drink more bottles when I'm fucking up the environment. Or I drink more water,
Yeah. I've got one of them real big ones that I fill up now. I used to do that. I used to keep a case in the back, just, not really because I would ever need it, but you get thirsty. But no, now I've got one of the big fucking water bottles. I take that thing not everywhere, but anywhere I know I'm going to be for a minute, I'll put that thing in there, throw some ice in there, keep it cold. It's just a nice thing to have around. You don't want to be standing around somewhere thirsty.
No, it's true. But the problem with that is then you're hauling a fucking thing around. If you get a fucking bottle of water, you just crush that little plastic up into nothing. If you needed to, you could stick it in your pocket. You could squish it down into the size of a fucking, like a can of dip, but smaller. But you can always just throw that shit away. But that big thing, you're like, all right, let me haul this fucking $18 fucking vessel for fucking water around.
No, so that is true.
A fucking club. You can't go through a metal detector with it. They're like, no, that's a fucking weapon. Keep that shit out of here.
Yeah, it is a weapon too, man. It is. I've dropped that thing on asphalt before, and the sound that it makes when it does, if you hit somebody over the head with that thing, you'd cause some damage.
Oh, you'd fuck somebody up. Oh, yeah.
You'd cause some real damage.
No.
You know what really sucks though is when if you are going to keep water in your trunk and you think other people might partake in the water that you have, get the full sized water bottles. You know, I know somebody.
Don't get those little squirrely things. That's so stupid. Yeah. What you got? Who do you know? What piece of shit do you know that gets them little ones?
No. No, but I know somebody that would do that. They'd be like, oh, you know, I got some water in my trunk. And they pop the trunk and it's them little bullshit ass water bottles. Just straight up like 2 sips of water in there. And then you got to throw it away. And it's like, man, that doesn't even, it's like, I'm still thirsty.
Like I need like, cause you could drink like 12 of those. They're nothing. They're like 4 ounces of water.
Yeah. It's like, get the full water bottles. They're not even that much more at the store.
Like
get you them.
I'm pretty sure they're fucking, you know, you just get the cheaper brand, you know, get the great value shits. They're all right.
Yeah, get that real cheap water, man. When somebody's thirsty and you have water, they do not care what kind of water you have. So long as that water isn't disgusting, like fucking Fiji or Dasani, you know, get that real fucking cheap water. Whatever brand of store you're in, get that store's brand water. It'll be the cheapest one. It'll fucking taste all right. And it'll be full sized, which is really the important thing. You don't want to hand somebody a little bitty fucking bullshit ass thing of water. That just irritates me. You know?
It's just killing the environment, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even give a shit, but, you know, just fucking don't do that. Like, you know, climate change, whatever, fucking drive your fucking big ass diesel. That's all good. You know, hell yeah, more power to you. But, you know, fucking get the bigger bottles of water if you're going to fucking throw that shit away. And you can also fill it up again. You know, that's the thing. You can reuse it. You should probably reuse it if you have it in your hand. But
yeah, I'll do that. I don't like, you know, I don't get bottles of water all that often. But like, if I do have one around the house, I'll refill it. I don't like, you know, who even cares? I'll refill that water bottle or a glass. Why is it different with the water bottle?
See, I got cats, so I like having the fucking bottle so they don't stick their paws in it, you know. So it's good, you know. It's just convenient. You're not going to spill it. Got a lid on it. You could drop it. You could throw it.
Yeah.
Fucking no. Yeah.
Damn.
Reuse your bottles, pieces of shit. No.
Damn. Do we have any other good life advice we want to drop on people before we get into some, you know, less important stuff?
Why does nobody at light heavyweight ever fight?
That's a good question. Well, I feel like the division is kind of held up because, like, Yuri Prochazka gave up the belt, like late last year, right? Because he was injured and he was like, I don't want to hold up the division. And then Blachowicz and Ankalaev fought to a draw for the title. I'm pretty sure it was for the vacant title. They fought to a draw, so there was no champ crown there. And now Jamal Hill is the champ. He beat Glover Teixeira. It was a great fight, everything like that. But I feel like I feel like everyone kind of is waiting for Prochazka to come back and fight because he never lost the belt. He gave it up, which I don't know why he did that. I mean, I know he said he didn't want to hold up the division, but like if you're the champion and you have an injury and you're going to be out for a little bit, but you're not going to be out for like a year, don't give up the belt, man. You know, keep the belt.
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of it?
Yeah, that's stupid. If you're going to be out for like 2 years, maybe give it up. But, you know, if you're going to be back in like within 12 months, keep that shit. It's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like the UFC and fans are just kind of waiting on, you know, a Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka announcement. And, you know, I mean, it's interesting, too, because light heavyweight is one of those divisions that kind of gets a lot of shit because it's not, you know, maybe it's not as deep as some of the other divisions. But I think that the top 6 at light heavyweight, I feel like any of those guys could be the champ. So there's potential for a lot of really interesting matchups to happen there in that division. But, everybody's waiting on Prochazka. And then I don't know that we have fight news for like any of those top guys at light heavyweight. Maybe we do, and I've missed it. But
Johnny Walker's fighting pretty soon. He's fighting. Is it this weekend?
Oh, he is fighting pretty soon. I do not know who he's fighting though. Let's see if we can figure that out. It doesn't show up
on the website. Let's see.
He is going to fight Anthony Smith in this Saturday. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. I don't hate that one bit because Smith is in the top 5, and I think Walker's right outside of it.
He's 7, yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting fight. That's interesting. I like that. Winner, I don't hate that one bit.
Winner of that's going to fight one of these other guys in the top 3, and then whoever wins that's probably going to get the shot at the belt after Jamal Hill and Yuri fight, which has not been announced, right?
I don't think it has now. Yeah. I don't know what everyone else.
And then Alex, was it? How do you say that? Pereira.
Oh, Pereira, yeah. Oh, Pereira, he's moving up. Damn.
Then he moves up and he fights. Actually, he probably fights whoever wins out of fucking Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith. That'd be good.
That's interesting. Yeah, forgotten about his ass. Although I have heard more talk recently of maybe Adesanya and Pereira going a third time.
I think that'd be okay.
Yeah, I don't really hate that. I don't think anyone else at 185 really has a strong claim to a title shot. So I wouldn't really mind seeing them fight again. Although Khamzat is moving up to 185, so they say. So, that's another guy you have to kind of add into the mix there when you start talking about middleweight.
What about Dricus du Plessis?
I think he might be fighting soon.
He just fought on fucking March 4th. I don't know if he's announced another one.
Let me see. I'm gonna.
Whitaker.
He is fighting Whitaker. Damn, that's right. Yeah, I remember saying that the other day. That's interesting. That's a tough fight for du Plessis. Robert Whitaker is a tough fight for anybody, but I don't hate that fight either because du Plessis is on a roll. He just beat Derek Brunson, who has been. I like Derek Brunson, so I hate to call him this, but he's kind of been a gatekeeper at 185 for a while now, and du Plessis is not lost in the UFC. He's 5-0 in his UFC run. So, he got the submission over Darren Till. He beat Brad Tavares last year. Gets the win over Derek Brunson. He does need to take a step up, and I feel like a step up from Derek Brunson means Robert Whitaker, because Robert Whitaker is that guy. I think he's the second best middleweight in that division right now. And I think he'd probably be the champion. Not probably. He almost certainly would still be the champion if it was not for Israel Adesanya. Damn, that's an interesting fight. If du Plessis goes out there and beats Robert Whitaker, he'll have to be next in line for a title shot because there's nobody else other than Khamzat. But Khamzat hasn't fought anybody at middleweight. Are they going to give him a title shot without, a fight before then at 185? I just don't really think so.
Who's he
also fight? Who wants to fight Khamzat?
He needs to fight. Would he fight? Who would he fight?
Well, him and I think him and Paulo Costa have been kind of trading some jabs,
That'd
going back and forth a little bit.
Paulo Costa's about to fight, isn't he?
I don't know. Does he have a fight lined up? He's always talking shit on Twitter. I never, it's hard to keep up with him. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like he's got anyone.
So it looks like March 22nd, according to MMAfighting.com. Paulo Costa agrees to new 4-fight UFC deal. Went Strickland and Khamzat in 2023. It looks like he turned down. He turned down Sean Strickland in May. He got the choice to face Sean Strickland in May or Khamzat at UFC 294 on October 21st.
That is interesting.
And he said back in 2023, wait, let me see. He said
in February he was going to fight Whitaker, but they announced it, I'm pretty sure. And then Paulo Costa was like, that ain't happening. I didn't sign a contract. That's not a thing. So it didn't happen. Interesting.
It looks like he said at some point he wants to make sure the Chimaev fight happens at all costs, but he wants to make both happen about the fucking him fighting Sean Strickland in 2023 as well. So maybe at the end of the year. If he beats fucking Khamzat, then yeah, maybe, I guess. Yeah, because Khamzat's just coming up to that. So, I mean, that really doesn't prove anything, I mean, it proves he can beat Khamzat, which is cool. But,
Well, I think if you're going to fight, I think it would make more sense because, like, Khamzat's a bigger name than Sean Strickland. He's not, he hasn't fought at 185 yet, but he's definitely a bigger name. So, like, to me, it would make more sense if Costa was to fight Strickland, and then Khamzat. But that isn't really, like, is Khamzat going to sit out that long? Or, like, because to me, it seems like if Khamzat, I think what the UFC would do, if Khamzat moved up to 185 and he beat whoever he fought, regardless of who it is, they're going to give him the title shot next. That's what I think they would do. I mean, you could, I'm sure people would make the case that he wouldn't deserve it, but that's what they're going to do. Khamzat's a big name, and he's also undefeated So, I don't know. It would be odd for him to fight somebody like Khamzat and then fight Sean Strickland unless he loses to Khamzat. If he loses to Khamzat, then he can fight whoever, I don't know. And like, I mean, if Costa was to beat Khamzat, then, I mean, he would have a decent claim at a title shot. His first fight with Adesanya was terrible, but, it was terrible for him. He gave a terrible performance.
See, he lost to Izzy recently. Yeah, he lost to Vettori, right? Yeah. And Vettori has lost to... Everybody's kind of lost to everybody.
Well, everybody at 185 has either lost to Israel Adesanya or Robert Whitaker or both. And like Marvin Vettori's in that camp. In fact, I think the only people Marvin Vettori's lost to has been Adesanya and Whitaker. No, that's not true. He lost a fight early in his career against somebody else. I don't remember who, but like everybody in that division has lost to Adesanya or Whitaker. Everybody.
So really, Khamzat coming in there, getting a title shot, and then beating up everybody who fucking tries to fight him is the best storyline.
It would be pretty cool.
It'd be dope.
And I think he poses a lot of problems for a lot of people. I think Whitaker is probably his toughest fight at 185. I think Whitaker is a little more well-rounded than, you compare him to Adesanya or Pereira. It's like those guys are only strikers for the most part. I mean, not that they're terrible at everything else, but if you're looking for a guy that has a chance of stopping Khamzat's wrestling attack, it would be Whitaker. But can he even do it? I don't know. It won't be easy for him. That's for sure. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the middleweight division going forward. Two other divisions, it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward are the two divisions that I feel like got the biggest shakeup this past weekend. The bantamweight and welterweight divisions. We had a title fight. Before we get into like the big fights, there were some really good performances lower in the card. I think I said it to you the other day. This is one of those cards where like the prelims, outshone the main card. Like the prelims were great. We started off the night with 3 knockouts. That's a great way to start any MMA event. And one of those knockouts was Ikram Alisarov, whatever his name is. It's a hard one. Ikram. He was the second fight of the night. Knocked out Phil Hawes, who's no slouch. He's been in the UFC for a minute. Very solid guy to make your UFC debut against. And Alisarov really, he put him out midway through the first round. Knocked him out, looked good doing so.
He fought Khamzat, right? That's his dude who he said was so good. Yeah. No, he's he's going to run through some people pretty quick. He needs to be thrown very quickly up. He needs to be fighting top 10 guys.
Yeah, I think so too. He's very Patty. Yeah. I think he did. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was him or not. He's quite a bit bigger than Patty. But he was the guy that gave Islam, pretty hard fight. Compared to the other fights that Khamzat has had. Khamzat's not had a whole lot of hard fights. Before he fought Gilbert Burns, that fight was great. He hadn't really had a whole lot of hard fights before that one, but that's what they say, man. Alisarov gave him a run for his money a little bit in Brave CF. And, it's not really hard to see why, man. He's got great hands. He's obviously got great wrestling. He's a 4-time world champion in combat sambo. He's won all these different gold medals. He's 14-1. His only loss is to Khamzat, which, no shame in that whatsoever.
Yeah, I watched it earlier today. It was a knockout, and it was just he just slipped a fucking uppercut in there. It was just beautiful. And it was like, no, it was a one and done. It wasn't even like it was a fucking, he wasn't losing the fight before. It was pretty fucking close from what I saw anyways. Then we got old fucking goddamn Parker Porter up there. What a big old boy right there. God damn, look at this picture right there.
He's fighting Braxton Smith, who is another big boy, former semi-pro football player from Texas too. I like Parker Porter. I don't have anything against him, but I live in Texas, so part of me was kind of rooting for old Braxton Smith. And
isn't he from San Antonio too, or no?
I think so.
Somebody on that
was. Somebody was. It might have been him. I kind of don't think it. Maybe it was. I don't know. Fucking who even knows? But I told it to you. Like that's a really good example of a fight where a trained fighter like Parker Porter is going to beat a guy like Braxton Smith who, he's just not there yet in his development in MMA. He can get there. It's not that he can't get there. He definitely can. But Parker Porter, he's been doing pro MMA for a while. He's taken some years off here and there. But he's been doing pro MMA for a minute, and he's fought some great guys. Just within the past couple of years, he's got a win over Chase Sherman, who's a, very good heavyweight in his own right. And he's fought guys like Jalton Almeida and Chris Daukaus. He's just at a different level in his MMA career than Braxton Smith is. And that doesn't mean that Braxton Smith is bad, but, that kind of natural athletic ability that Smith has as a football player, it will only get you so far. And just kind of watching the fight, it was very clear that there are some things in his game that he needs to tighten up and work on and everything like that. And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, when you're fighting a guy like Parker Porter, you just don't really have a whole lot of room for there to be, weak spots in your game, especially if you're newer to the MMA scene. Parker Porter fought John Jones a long time ago, like 2008, long time ago.
Damn.
Before either of them were in the UFC. Porter was making that was a light heavyweight fight too. Parker Porter was cutting down to light heavyweight. He ain't doing that no more. And hats off to him. He shouldn't. Obviously he can compete at heavyweight, so why not? God knows heavyweight needs some help. You want to talk about a division that's not as deep as some others. I feel like heavyweight's got a little room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I feel like those big of guys, I don't know, Francis leaving kind of fucking. I mean, he was carrying them for a minute.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It'll always him leaving. There are a lot of different what ifs, in MMA. You look at like different guys in particular, or like how a division would have turned out if so and so had won this fight, or if so and so had stayed. That'll be a fucking big one. Like, what if Francis Ngannou stayed in the UFC, fought John Jones, fought Stipe a third time? And I mean, now it just doesn't seem like we'll ever know. I mean, maybe he'll come back. Dana White doesn't really seem to think so. One championship, and I believe Bellator have turned Francis down at this point. I don't know. I want to see him fight, and I want to see him fight in MMA. I mean, if he wants to go box, that's good and fine, but I want to see him continue his MMA career. He was the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC. He was the baddest man on the planet. I want to see him continue to fight in MMA. So, I don't know. I hope he works something out with somebody. It just, it just sucks. It sucks that we might not ever see him fight in the cage again. And that's a bummer. But that is kind of just the name of the game. It happens sometimes,
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. He needs to come back. Just one fight, even against John Jones.
Just come back. Just come back and fight John Jones. Now, does John Jones want that fight? No. I mean, I'm sure he'll say that he does, but man, does he really want to fight Francis Ngannou?
Shit. Fucking, I'm looking up the rest of this card right here. Fucking run through the rest of these people.
See.
The women, Marina Rodriguez, Verna, fucking not even gonna try that last name. Look,
Jandiroba.
Jandiroba.
Verna Jandiroba. Yeah.
She fucking. So the odds was negative 140 plus 120, or minus 140, not negative. You know what I'm saying? Fucking. If I had seen that beforehand and I had looked at their fight styles, I would. Okay, so this is gambling advice. Okay, if you see that one of the women is like a Muay Thai like god versus almost anyone in women's fighting, anyways. Like, you can almost always go with the Muay Thai chick. She's gonna hit. She's actually gonna swing, and the other chick's just not gonna be ready for it. Like, she might hit a little bit, but like she's the. Verna Jandiroba or whatever. Yeah. You knew she could get hit in the face. You knew she could take an elbow right to the teeth. And you knew she could throw it back. And which she did. And is why she won. Like, as soon as that fight started, I know I texted you and I was like, oh yeah, no, she's going to fucking win. I said, short curly hair is going to win.
She's dope, man. She is, she's very legit. Not that Rodriguez isn't, but it's just, there were clear holes in Rodriguez's game that Verna was able to take advantage of. And I mean, she looked great out there. And Rodriguez was the number 5 ranked strawweight in the world. And Verna was like 7, I think. So, I mean, this was a big fight for either one of them. And Verna came out there and she looked real good, man. She's looked real good. She fought Angela Hill last year. Oddly enough, on the Blachowicz and Rakic when they fought for the title, she was on that card and she beat Angela Hill, kind of in a similar fashion. Just looked really good. Everything like that. Her UFC career, she's had some wins, she's had some losses, but she's always lost to like very talented fighters. But now she's kind of, she's on a 2-fight streak now, but she just beat the number 5 ranked woman in the world. And so, I don't know that a title shot is what's next for her. But I think she might just be one fight away from a title shot, I mean, if she beats one other person in that top 5, I don't see why, she might not be in that conversation.
Who's got the title right now?
Oh, dude, Zhang Weili has that title right now. And Dana White said, I don't know if he said it at the press conference, 'cause I saw it in like an article or a tweet or something, but someone else who fought on this card that we're talking about, Yan Xiaonan, she knocked out Jessica Andrade. Dana White apparently said he's thinking about doing Zhang Weili and Yan Xiaonan in China for the title. 2 Chinese women, fucking bad motherfuckers, fighting for the women's strawweight title in China. Crazy.
That'd be crazy.
That would be insane.
Joe Biden, if he was a half decent president, would go to that.
I mean, it's in China, so he might show up.
Trump would be there. He'd be like, "Oh no, this is my shit." Trump might go anyways.
He might, man. No, that'd be it would just be a great fight. China is one of those places. There are a couple of countries like that where there's just like, at some point they're going to have a boom of MMA talent, and we just haven't really seen the peak of it yet. But like, China is one of those places. Like, martial arts, like judo and jiu-jitsu were founded in Japan, and then Muay Thai is massive in Thailand and a lot of those other countries around there. Like, martial arts is strong.
What is it? What is their shit?
I really don't know. I'm not really sure. But like, you just like in an area of the world where there's such a long history of martial arts, you have to imagine that like we're going to start seeing a lot more fighters like Zhang Weili, like Yan Xiaonan, like really get to the upper levels of the UFC, and thrive. You have to think so.
They do Kung Fu. I'm asking Chat GPT.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why Kung Fu fucking slipped my mind. Well, it's not real practical in MMA. Like, there's not a lot of
get the shit beat out of them.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of Kung Fu fighters in MMA. But, shit. I'm sure they got MMA gyms in China and
long live Taiwan. Fuck your Kung Fu. No, I'm just kidding. I'm open to all ideas, but not all of them. But you know what I'm saying.
I think it would be dope, man. I think they have the talent to do it. There's plenty of Asian fighters on the UFC roster that are very, very talented. And when you can headline a pay-per-view with a title fight between 2 Chinese mixed martial artists in China, that's fucking awesome. Song Yadong, throw him on a card out there. You can't tell me it wouldn't be crazy. That'd be dope. I hope they put that together. I think it would be really cool to see. And even if it's not in China, because, I don't know what sort of, they don't do cards in China all the time. The last time I can remember them going to China was when Bisping fought Kung Lee in like 2013, maybe. I don't know that they've gone to China since then, but maybe they have. I don't know what all goes into setting up like a pay-per-view or whatever in China, but it'd be dope to see. They have the fighters to make a card like that. Fuck, throw it together. It'll be awesome.
Shit. In August 31st, 2019. Did you already say this?
Oh, 2019? They had a card in China?
Shenzhen. Let's see. What about? Let's ask ChatGPT.
Damn, I don't remember
how good this shit is. If we can understand my idiot fucking conversation.
Oh,
November 2017 in Shanghai.
Yeah. Zhang Weili and Jessica Andrade. Yeah, Zhang Weili knocked her out.
Not bad.
Yeah. See, that's interesting. See, they had plenty of Asian fighters on that card. They had fucking Li Jingliang was on there. Andre Sukhumtat, always a fun guy to watch fight. Damn. So they've gone back. I completely forgot that they went to China for that card. So yeah, they've gone back more recently. So why not make it happen? They've already done an event with Zhang Weili in China. Do it again, but this time pair her up with another Chinese martial artist. That's awesome. One fight that kind of shocked me, the headliner of the prelims, Matt Favola, Steamroller, knocking out Drew Dober. That shocked me. I even texted you before that fight started. I was like, Favola's good, but he's just not really on the same level as Drew Dober. Like Drew Dober's put together a good win streak, all this kind of shit. And then fucking, what do I know? You
said, I hope he's not on your fucking parlay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Just goes to show you that even if you've been watching MMA for, almost 15 years, you still don't know nothing. Anybody who sees my picks, before the card starts, probably already knows that. But
where's Favola going to end up in the rankings now?
That's a good question. I don't know that he'll be in the top 15. I mean, maybe because Dober was like 14. So they might put him kind of towards the bottom of the 15 list, maybe. I don't know. I don't know where he'll end up or who he'll get next. I think maybe he said some shit about Patty because they're the same division. I think maybe it was him that called out Patty Pimblett. Maybe it wasn't. I don't really know. But I think that'd be fun. That'd be cool. I mean, Favola has put together a decent win streak of his own. 3 knockouts in a row, 3 first-round knockouts in a row. Sky's the limit with somebody like that. Great nickname, too. Steamroller. That's tremendous.
That's good.
That's great. Trains with he trains at the Serra-Longo gym in New York. Like that's a great gym to train at. Just knocked out Drew Dober in the first round. I mean, shit. Lightweight, stacked division as it is. There's no telling who he might fight next. Like he might draw like a pretty big name.
Do you think he should go and let me see. Should he go beat up Dan Hooker?
That's not bad, honestly.
Because I feel like anybody who's great, like anybody who's like in the shit now, has beat up Dan Hooker at some point.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to Dan Hooker. He does like to throw down with some great fighters.
Oh, you fucking, you're respected when you just get your ass beat fucking week in and week out.
Yeah. See, he wasn't always that way, though. It's just kind of here recently. No. He's racked up some L's. He beat Gilbert Burns once upon a time, which is hard to believe in 2023, but he did. He knocked him out, too, as a matter of fact. Back when Gilbert Burns was fighting at lightweight, which is also hard to believe, looking at Gilbert Burns now in 2023. Gilbert Burns was cutting down to lightweight. That's insane. He's a bit of a, he's obviously, he's like jacked and shit, but he's a little small for the welterweight division. But the fact that he used to make 155 is crazy. Yeah, I think Dan Hooker's not a bad next step for him. Somebody like Renato Moicano, who's also kind of in that same area in the rankings, I think would maybe not be a bad matchup. Grant Dawson's sitting there right there at 15. That also might not be a bad one. Anyone in kind of that lower tier of 15 to really just kind of like stamp your ticket into the rankings and then get a bigger call out, I think is not a bad idea.
See, Drew Dober's decent, though. He's beat some fucking decent guys.
Oh, he's good. He's good. I like Drew Dober quite a bit. I mean, I thought he was going to win.
He's not quite at that, Well, like you said, though, it is not the highest level. There's he's not a fucking top 10 guy.
No. Top 15, though, he absolutely, I mean, he did just lose, but top 15 is not bad for a guy like Drew Dober, especially when you're on a roll like he was, he knocked out Bobby Green and, I think Terrence McKinney was one of the guys that he knocked out last year, a year before last, or whenever it was. He was doing good. And his losses are not bad either. Favola got him, but Brad Riddell is a very good guy. He fought Islam Makhachev. I mean, what can you do? That's tough. Fought Benil Dariush a couple years ago. That's a tough fight for anybody. I mean, Dariush is fighting Charles Oliveira here before too long. So, the losses on his record are not bad. The wins on his record are very impressive. He'll bounce back.
He's a good guy to beat, but a fucking dude, that's a pretty stacked fucking division right there. So Justin Gaethje, when's he fucking getting that title shot?
I don't know. We don't know what's next for Islam. Or Poirier, for that matter. We don't have anything for him. Oliveira is fighting Dariush later this month, maybe in a month or two. I don't even know. They're fighting at some point. Chandler and McGregor are fighting later this year. Fiziev just lost to Gaethje. I don't know. I don't know what's next for Justin Gaethje.
If he doesn't get a title shot next, he needs a fucking title shot, after that.
I don't know that they'll do it. I don't know that Justin Gaethje would even agree to it, but I think running him and Poirier back, because they fought before, back in 2019.
It was a fucking dogfight, wasn't it?
Dogfight. And Poirier knocked him out, but, I feel like they're both better fighters than they were then. And so I think running that fight back, it was crazy. It was as crazy as you would expect it to be. Of course, I mean, Gaethje and Poirier both, they never really have boring fights, but, it was a great fight. I'd love to see him run it back. It's been some time. It's been 5 years. They've both, they're both way different fighters than they were 5 years ago. Run that shit back.
April 14th, 2018 is when that shit was. Fucking round 4, 36 seconds left.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. See, it was dope. See, you could do so. Oliveira and Dariush are fighting. If I don't know what you do with Oliveira if he wins that. I don't know if you give him another title shot or not. But if Dariush wins, I think you could put him and Islam together. But see, whoever, because Volkanovski's going to defend the 145 belt in summer of this year. Fucking the assumption is that Islam is going to defend his title against somebody before the year is over. It's do they book Volkanovski and Islam again for early next year? Because then that leaves guys like Oliveira, Poirier, Gaethje, all of those guys, that'll leave them just kind of waiting around,
You know what I would love to see? I'd love to see fucking if a few things have to happen, Dariush has to fucking lose. Gaethje, if some reason fucking they give Gaethje a title shot, I just want to see him fight fucking Volkanovski. They're both at the end of their fucking career. If it was for a belt, that'd be ideal. If it's not, I don't think they'd make the fight happen. But he wants to move up, end of his career, needs to defend his fucking belt. This is like early 2024. That might happen, but who knows?
It would be cool.
He said it's his last run, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was like, he wants one last run at the belt. Then that's kind of it.
So that's like, how many fights do you think? 3 at most?
At most. I think it might be 1 or 2. You know? It'll suck, man. I'll hate to see him go. He's dope. There's nobody hates Justin Gaethje. I don't know how you can even be an MMA fan and not love Justin Gaethje. It's like, do you hate fun? Do you hate great, bloody, fucking awesome fights? You know? Like, how could you hate the guy? I don't want to see him leave, man, but it's just, you know, again, it's a part of the sport. Like, eventually they just kind of, you know, got to move on. And I would like to see him get one more title shot, though. I think he fares a better chance against Islam than a lot of guys at 155 do, because Gaethje is such an accomplished wrestler. You don't see it very much because of the way that he fights, but like he's a very good wrestler. You know, he uses most of his wrestling for defense now because he likes to throw fucking hands. But you know, like I think he poses a bigger threat to Islam than Poirier or Chandler, for what it's worth. I don't know. Chandler also poses a fair threat. But like Conor, like no one in their right mind believes that like Conor would beat Islam, or, you know, I have a hard time believing Poirier would beat him. You know, you need someone who's not going to get taken down and submitted in the first round. And I think Gaethje can avoid that.
Could Conor drop down to featherweight? No.
The cut would be brutal. It would be brutal. I don't know that he would do it, honestly.
Would he go up to welterweight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's had some fights at welterweight.
He's got a better chance there.
I can't remember. They either announced that the fight with him and Chandler would be at 170 and then walked it back to 150, or vice versa. I don't remember exactly which way it went, but God, I just can't remember. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, Conor will definitely fight at 170. I think his fight with Cerrone was at 170, and then I think maybe his second fight with Diaz was at 170. I don't even. Yeah. Cerrone was at 170 for sure. I don't know about Diaz. I know we're running. We're running over an hour here, so I want to hit on, the 2 big fights of the night, but also want to shout out Diego Lopez real quick. He fought Evloev, and he put on a fucking great fight. He did lose, but he won that first round. You know, he was looking good. He was throwing up submissions. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, for what it's worth, expected Evloev to just run through him completely, and that did not happen. Like, Evloev won, but it was a decision, and that first round was competitive. You know, it kind of fell off in the later rounds, but fucking Evloev is, before the fight, 16-0, like a real, highly valued prospect in that division. And Diego Lopez is a guy that's fighting him on 5 days' notice in his UFC debut, and he took Evloev to a decision and made it a good fight, made it competitive there in the beginning. So hats off to Diego Lopez. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing who he fights next, because I'm sure it'll be a fucking banger. And he's at a way higher level right now in his MMA career than anyone would have expected. So you got to shout out him. I was thoroughly impressed. Could not really have been any more impressed with a guy making his UFC debut on 5 days' notice against a killer like Evloev. But then you got the 2 big fights of the night. We've talked about these divisions pretty at length in some of our previous episodes, but that's because we were looking forward to this pay-per-view. Bilal Muhammad is going to get a title shot, finally, after all these years. He's going to get him one. You can't help but feel good for the dude. I mean, he deserves it. He deserves it as much as damn near anyone has deserved a title shot ever. He's gone on this crazy run, all these different wins, beating all these great guys, and he's finally going to get him a title shot. Now, he's going to get that title shot after Colby Covington beats Leon Edwards, but he is going to fight for the title.
Him beating Colby Covington, it would also be nice.
I think he would have. I don't know, man.
Him and Leon would be a better fight to watch. It'd be more fun.
It would be a more fun fight, I think. And I mean, the last two fights the other night, Cejudo, Sterling, Burns, Muhammad. A lot of people online were kind of disappointed with those fights, but I think they were comparing it to some of the fights that happened earlier in the night. And, I mean, if you look at this fight in particular, Burns had a fucked up shoulder. It was very clear. I mean, we texted about it early on in the fight. It's very clear. I mean, even the commentators were like, yeah, no, his shoulder's fucked. Burns was obviously not at 100%. He was obviously dealing with something, pretty serious in his shoulder. I don't know how serious, but it impacted his ability to fight. And that's going to affect the quality of the fight. But, everybody goes into a fight with something, and nobody goes into a fight 100% healthy. Everybody's got something. It just so happens that Burns entered that fight with a fairly serious shoulder injury. And it sucks for him. It really does. He before this, he had been having a pretty good 2023. He had picked up 2 wins earlier in the year, one over Jorge Masvidal, big win. But, you can't really hate on Bilal Muhammad for that, for taking advantage of an opportunity. And I mean, putting on a beating. I mean, I think one of the judges scored every single round for Bilal. And I think the other 2 scored 4 rounds for him. I mean, he went out there and won the fight and earned himself a title shot. You can't hate on that. Not at all.
No. I mean, it was on the line from the beginning. They both, that was decided before. I mean, it had been expected, but, fucking Bilal had his shot. It was very clear, and he did it, He's, you ask for that shit, you beg for that shit, you try to get put in the right spot. I was just looking at his record. He's beat some reasonable guys. Also, it would ideally he fights Leon Edwards again, because before, what was it? Somebody got an eye poke or something.
Yeah. Muhammad, Bilal got poked in the eye, and he just couldn't continue. And it was if I'm remembering correctly, it was a fairly bad eye poke. Bilal's not going to try to get out of a fight. That's not how he does things. He got poked in the eye and he really could not continue. And that sucks. That absolutely sucks. So I think it makes for a better story for those 2 to run it back. They have unfinished business. I will say Leon Edwards was winning that fight very clearly before the eye poke, but Bilal's a different fighter than he was then. And Leon is too, for what it's worth. I think they're both as good as they've ever been. And if they fight for the title later this year, early next year, whatever it is, we'll get a definitive answer on who's the better of the 2 guys. Of course, he also might fight Colby, and that's something. He hasn't fought Colby before, so it would be a new opponent at least. But I don't know. I'm glad he got the title. I'm glad he's getting a title shot. That's really, that's my biggest takeaway from it. I just feel good for him, man. He went on this big ass win streak, and he's just now getting a title shot. Hats off to him.
If Colby loses this, is he ever going to get another title shot, or is he,
No, I think he's probably done if he loses this one. He's, maybe not done with MMA, but like another title shot would kind of be hard to justify. He's lost to Usman twice. If he loses to Edwards, I mean, I don't know. He would need some wins on his record before he could justify getting another title shot, because this is his third title shot in a couple of years. So, you know, if he blows this one, it's not going to look great for him. You know, something interesting. I mean, maybe the welterweight division is plenty interesting when you look at all those guys. There's just a lot of different ways you could match people up in that division. The same can be said of bantamweight, you know, with Sterling beating Cejudo. One judge scored that a split decision, and I think that's absurd. There's no way you could look at Cejudo did not win 3 rounds. He absolutely did not. I like watching it. I thought Sterling won at least 3, maybe 4 of those rounds. It's not like it wasn't a competitive fight, but I just thought it was very clear that Sterling was the better fighter of the two, you know, on that night. He just was. I thought he very clearly won the fight. And now we've got an interesting situation with bantamweight. You know, they brought Sean O'Malley in the ring after the main event was over. So, you know, it looks like Sterling and O'Malley is next, which is exactly what Sterling wants. And he said, you know, he said before this fight, he wants to beat Cejudo, he wants to beat O'Malley, and then he wants to move up to 145. Now, that's wild. That's certainly something. But it just kind of, you know, it kind of leaves you thinking, you know, what's next for the 135 division? What's next for Cejudo? You know, he takes 3 years off. You know, he retires. He comes back. He loses the fight against Sterling. You know, what's next for him? And, you know, him and Merab have kind of been trading jabs at one another on social media ever since that night. So, you know, we might get Sterling O'Malley and then Merab Cejudo. And I don't know why Cejudo wants that fight. I think Merab would destroy him at this point. I mean, you know, if Sterling was able to take him down like 4 times in their fight, 3 or 4 times, what do you think Merab's going to do to him? Merab took Piotr Yan down, what, like 40 times? You know? I mean, I just don't see that fight going Cejudo's way at all. Not even a little bit. I don't know. I don't know why he wants that fight, but, you know, Merab's a tough fight for anybody. I think Merab might be the best bantamweight in the world. He just won't fight Sterling because that's his boy.
There's also fucking... If you're fucking Sterling, you kind of want to get out of there too, because there is some more talent just coming up. There's a Nurmagomedov. There's a couple of Russians in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a couple of them. Fucking, I don't know how that fucking Saeed is doing, or however he says his fucking name. I guess he's dropped his most recent fight, but before that, he was kind of fucking people up.
Yeah, no, he was looking good. 2 Nurmagomedovs in that division too, which is terrifying for anybody who's in there. You know, that's not what you want to see moving up the rankings. 2 guys named Nurmagomedov. And when you already have a wrestler like Merab as the number 1 contender, right? Ranked number 1. That's vicious. Although I was looking at this earlier, and this is maybe what we can kind of wrap it up on. So like the top 6 fighters including the champions in bantamweight and welterweight, you can match them all up together in a way to where they fight someone that they've never fought before. So, you know, you got like at bantamweight. You know, you got Sterling and O'Malley. That's going to happen. You book Merab and Cejudo because they've been talking trash to one another. They're two great wrestlers. It seems to be what they both want for whatever reason. And then you can do Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font and Piotr Jan versus Chito Vera. I think all of that makes sense. I think it all makes sense.
Kill? One of the fucking Russians, one of the Nurmagomedovs. I think so.
I don't know, honestly. Honestly, they might want to hold off on Song Yadong. Well, I don't know how soon they want to do the event in China, but if they for sure nail down the event in China, you might want to swap out one of those guys I said earlier with Song Yadong. You know, make like a real big co-main event.
Could fucking Song Yadong, has he earned a title shot or has he beat anybody that's that good? He's been gone for a minute.
No, he needs a little bit more before
he lost to Corey Sandhagen. That's right.
Yeah. So don't book him versus Sandhagen, but you could book him against like Rob Font, Piotr Jan, Chito Vera. Like that would all be crazy. Like any of those matchups for the co-main event on a China card would be awesome. Makes sense. They have they have kind of similar styles. They're all strikers, so it would be a fun fight. Song Yadong throws down. I think it would be dope. I did the same thing for 172. Of course, we talked about it, right? Like we got Edwards, Covington, and then we're going to have the winner of that fight, Bilal Muhammad. Well, you take out Khamzat from those rankings because he's moving up. You bump Stephen Thompson up to like number 6. You could do Kamaru Usman and Stephen Thompson, and then you could do Gilbert Burns and Shavkat. And it would be the same thing as with the bantamweights. You have like all the top 6 guys fighting one another. Because somebody's got to fight Shavkat. I don't know that Gilbert Burns necessarily wants to, but somebody's got to. It's got to happen.
He's going to slaughter somebody.
And I mean, if he's I feel like that fight, Stephen Thompson's kind of a counter striker, and Usman is Usman. So sometimes he has fights that are really good, and sometimes he has fights that are kind of boring. I think Gilbert Burns and Shavkat is like guaranteed to be a fucking banger. Those are both two dudes that love to throw down. Shavkat needs a big step up in competition, obviously. So like, why not throw him against a guy like Gilbert Burns and just watch those two fucking duke it out? I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Dude, poor fucking Neil Magny. His last fights have been fucking Shavkat. Wait, hold up. He fought Gilbert Burns too, didn't he, recently? Oh, no, I had that wrong. Wait, I had the wrong guy. Hold up. Oh, yeah. He fought fucking, goddamn, yeah, Gilbert Burns, fucking whoever this Rodriguez guy is. He beat him.
That is right.
And he fought fucking Shavkat before that. Just getting beat up. Just being a fucking gatekeeper. I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, sometimes you run into some dangerous guys. He is kind of that, kind of that gatekeeper kind of a guy, though. He's not bad by any means. I mean, he's got some decent wins on his record, but getting choked out by Shavkat and Gilbert Burns does kind of suck.
He's been doing the thing for a minute. He fought Kevin Gastelum back in 2015.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember him fighting one of my favorite fighters of all time is Carlos Condit. I really like him quite a bit. He fought Carlos Condit like fucking 5-6 years ago. And I remember that fight. I remember that fight coming together. And, of course, he beat Carlos Condit. I was disappointed. But he fought Johnny Hendricks back in the day, former welterweight champion. He's got some decent decent wins on his resume. It's just when it comes time for him to like take that step up in competition, he always falls a little short. String together some wins, but then he gets knocked out by Ponzinibbio. String together some more wins, he gets beat by Chiesa, and then he's got those 2 most recent losses. It's a tough division, man. Welterweight is one of the, it's a stacked division. It's not an easy division for anybody to walk into and work their way up. No, man, I think that pretty well covers the pay-per-view this past weekend, unless you had any final comments on some of these fights. It was a very entertaining card, pretty much from the jump. Did not disappoint really at all. I know some people thought the main event and co-main event were a little slow, but it just kind of happens. It's fine. And they weren't even like bad fights. People were talking about them like they were the worst fights they ever saw. They weren't that. It's just they weren't as fast paced, and they didn't end in finishes. So you get these people online that like to complain, but I didn't really have any problem with it. You're watching high level MMA on a Saturday night, and some people, all they do is go online and complain. We used to not have. This is actually what we'll end on. I've been wanting to say this, talk about this for a while, but we'll fucking end on it. There are people that have been complaining that some of the recent UFC events have been a little thin. They're not quite as stacked as cards used to be. And one, that's not true. There are more high-level mixed martial artists in the UFC right now than there ever have been. Across the board, in every division, they can stop with the nonsense. Also, we used to not get fucking fights on every Saturday. We used to get fucking fights like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. We used to get a pay-per-view like once a month. It's like it's like they want there to be less fights so that the cards can be more stacked. And I just don't really understand that. It's like you would rather watch less MMA but have the cards be more stacked.
Like, I think we need more. I think we need more sideshows. We need more fucking Dana White Contender Series. We need that shit every day of the week. The NFL is adding a fucking Black Friday game for the first time, and there's people. Yeah. I saw some people complaining. They're like, "Oh, Sundays aren't going to be as fucking good or whatever." It's like, who gives a fuck? If you did fucking 2 games on Sunday, but like 1 game every other day of the week, minus like a fucking. Like maybe fucking Wednesdays or Saturdays or something, fucking let's watch football all the fucking time. Why not?
Yeah. It's like, would you rather watch less football? Because if you stack, how we have it now, you can't watch all the Sunday games at one time. You can watch Red Zone, and that kind of gets you that feeling, but you're also missing out on some of the game. You can't watch all those games on Sunday. Why not take a fucking game and throw it onto a Friday? Like, I just don't understand it. It's like you want there to be less days in the year that have football on. You want there to be less days of the year that have UFC on. And that's insane to me. That is a mindset that I just cannot subscribe to. I think that's ridiculous. I want to see more of the shit all the time. I want all of it on every day of the week. That's what I want. I don't want less. I don't know how you could be a fan and want less of the sport that you claim to love. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You can watch also it's a good money generator. Your ads fucking mean more.
Makes sense for business. No wonder the NFL wants to do it.
Oh yeah,
makes sense. No, I think we're good on wrapping it up. We've gone a little longer than we wanted to, but we had some stuff to talk about. We had some good advice to give out. We had some fights to talk about, and we didn't even mention the Warriors-Lakers game that's going on right now. About 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Warriors up by 2 points. So,
oh shit! Yeah,
we're gonna hop off here and go watch that.